Hey, it's Howie Mandel, and I am inviting you to witness history as me and my Howie Do It gaming team take on Gilly the King and Wallow 267's $1 million gaming in an epic global gaming league video game showdown. 4 rounds, multiple games, 1 winner, plus a halftime performance by multi-platinum artist Travie McCoy. Watch all the action and see who wins and advances to the championship match against Neo right now at globalgamingleague.com. That's globalgamingleague.com. Everybody games.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Welcome to today's Deep Dive. I'm your host, and today we are unpacking a really fascinating paper. It's called AI Agents and the Future of Research Work by Dr. Jonathan H. Westover. And, our mission for this deep dive is basically to figure out how you can use these incredibly powerful AI systems without losing your mind or your hard-earned skills.
Hey there. Glad to be here to help break this down.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is, it's pretty much the defining challenge of our era. Knowledge work is just being radically redesigned right in front of us.
Totally. Okay, let's unpack this because I want to start with an analogy to set the stage for you. Using an AI agent right now, it isn't like upgrading from a whisk to a blender. It's honestly more like hiring a brilliant, lightning-fast private chef. Which sounds amazing, right? Until you realize that if you don't watch them super closely, they might just, garnish your soup with bleach because they thought it added a fun pop of color.
Right, yes. That perfectly captures the stakes here. We are exploring what researchers call the automation-augmentation paradox. We're moving away from these isolated tools that just do one thing and entering the era of integrated agents.
Wait, so to really grasp the threat and the promise here, we need to define what's actually changed. Like, why is this different from, I don't know, a super fancy spell checker or a fast calculator?
Well, a simple tool requires you to be the glue. You give an input, get an output. But Dr. Westover's paper identifies 3 major architectural changes that turn a tool into an agent. The first is persistent state and cross-stage orchestration.
Cross-stage orchestration, so it remembers what you're doing.
Exactly. Think about how you used to work. You'd clean data in one app, run models in another, format citations somewhere else. Now, the agent remembers your context from the very first problem formulation, holds it in memory, and orchestrates the entire pipeline, all the way to submission.
Oh, wow. So it's holding the whole project architecture in its head.
Yeah, which leads to the second shift, which is environmental integration. They don't just live in a little browser tab anymore. They integrate into your computational space. They read your Zotero library, run your R scripts, interact with your files.
Which is, incredibly powerful, but also terrifying if you think about the trust involved. And the third change.
The third is specialist skills with domain knowledge. It's not just a text generator. You can equip an agent to know, say, 13 distinct causal identification strategies. It knows the math behind them, the diagnostic tests, how to write up the results for specific academic audiences.
That is wild. You don't have to explain the math. It just already knows it.
Right. What's fascinating here is how this completely shifts the human role. You aren't the creator doing the execution anymore. You are the orchestrator. You manage quality gates. It's led to this thing people are calling vibe researching.
Vibe researching. I love that. You just described the general vibe of the project and delegate the tedious stuff. But, let me push back for a second here. Isn't that ultimately a massive win? I mean, the paper mentions that Nguyen Zhang's study where ChatGPT gave a 40% time reduction and huge quality improvements for writing tasks. Doesn't this just make everyone a faster genius?
A 40% speed boost is undeniably incredible. It really is. But it hides a very subtle trap. If you delegate everything, you lose the ability to spot when the AI is confidently wrong.
The chef pouring bleach in the soup.
Exactly. There's this famous management consulting study by Delacqua and colleagues. They gave consultants GPT-4. When tasks were inside the AI's capability frontier, performance shot up. But when tasks fell just outside that frontier,
And the performance dropped.
it plummeted below what they would have achieved with no AI at all.
Oh, because they trusted it too much.
Right. And this boundary is completely invisible. It's unpredictable. They call it the jagged technological frontier.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I think everyone listening can relate to this. Think about GPS. If you use it every day to get around your own neighborhood, your internal sense of direction just completely atrophies. You get lost without your phone. But here, the stakes are, publishing fabricated data. How do you verify a complex statistical model if you haven't built one from scratch in years?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you're talking about the verification gap. It's a core paradox. Delegating frees up time for high-level thinking, sure. But your capacity to verify absolutely depends on your production competence. If you stop doing the gritty work, your brain literally atrophies.
That is so unsettling. And it brings us to the systemic issues. Because this deskilling isn't just hurting senior professionals who get a bit lazy. It's completely breaking the apprenticeship system and dividing the research world.
Yeah, it's creating an AI productivity premium. The haves and have-nots. The paper outlines 4 stratification risks. The first one is economic access.
Right, and let's clarify that, because $20 a month for an AI subscription sounds cheap. But we aren't just talking about a chat box here.
No, we're talking about API costs. When an agent does vibe researching, it breaks a goal into 50 subtasks. It searches, reads 30 PDFs, writes code, fixes its own errors. That looping can cost $5 to $15 in raw compute power per run.
Per run? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you do that multiple times a day, it's a massive barrier for under-resourced institutions. The second risk is language and cultural bias. These frontier models are trained mostly on English, Global North internet data.
So if you're researching something specific to the Global South...
The AI mechanically struggles. It gives lower quality guidance because it just lacks those neural pathways.
Right. And the third and fourth risks?
Third is technical skill barriers. You still need systems architecture knowledge to run complex agents. And fourth, this is a big one, methodological fit.
Because AI is basically just a giant math engine?
Exactly. It's calibrated for quantitative data. If you're doing qualitative, interpretive, ethnographic work, reading subtle human nuance, the AI is way less helpful.
So why should you, the listener, care about all this? Well, because the people designing our future might just be, deskilled button pushers who happen to have huge budgets, speak English, and only focus on quantitative data. But wait, what about institutional help, like the NSF AI institutes mentioned in the paper?
The NSF is trying to provide shared resources, which is great, but it doesn't solve the geographic concentration of those methodological biases. And actually, the most alarming part here is what Ferdman calls the pedagogical crisis.
He calls modern labs capacity-hostile environments, right? What does that actually mean?
It means the apprenticeship model of grad school is breaking. Yeah. Historically, you learned what good research looks like by doing awful grunt work for a mentor. You clean data, formatted citations.
Yeah, the classic grad student experience.
Right. But now, students delegate that to AI before they have the competence to verify the output. They skip the foundational steps. And institutions let them because it's cheaper.
Because why pay a grad student a stipend to do a lit review for a month when an AI does it in 3 hours for $12?
Exactly. Brynjolfsson's study highlights a 16% relative employment decline among young workers, ages 22 to 25, in these automatable roles. This raises an important question. How do we train anyone to be an expert when the foundational execution tasks are cheaper to outsource?
If you don't pour the concrete foundation, you can't oversee the skyscraper. You literally don't know what you're looking at.
Precisely.
Okay, so the sky is falling, our brains are atrophying, we can't navigate without GTS, grad students are unemployed, and the robots are making up data. But there is a playbook, right? Institutions are fighting back against this deskilling.
Yes, there are real evidence-based organizational solutions. You can't just ban AI, but you can't blindly trust it. So organizations are doing task mapping based on 2 dimensions, codifiability and tacit knowledge requirement.
Okay, let's break that down. Codifiability is like, can this task be broken into explicit rules, right? Like math.
Right, and tacit knowledge requirement is, does this require deep, unspoken field experience?
Got it. So if we map those, we get 4 quadrants.
Quadrant 1 is the execution zone, high codifiability, low tacit knowledge. Think formatting references into APA style.
So the rule there is just delegate it completely, let the AI do it.
Yep, save your time. Quadrant 2 is the scaffolding zone, high codifiability but moderate tacit knowledge, like drafting a standard methods section. The AI provides a template, but the human edits it based on project context.
Makes sense.
Quadrant 3 gets harder. The judgment zone. Low codifiability, high tacit knowledge, like formulating a novel theoretical framework. The AI is just a brainstorming buddy here, but the human absolutely leads.
And then quadrant 4, the human-only zone. Zero codifiability, extreme tacit knowledge. recognizing ethical flaws, or when a paradigm just doesn't fit a cultural context. The rule there is zero delegation. AI does not touch this quadrant. So what does this all mean in practice? Like, how do you actually enforce this? Because the paper mentioned the University of Michigan's delegation planning protocol. They literally make teams document their task classifications on this map before they can use AI.
Yeah, and the University of Washington's Data Science Master's program went even further. They implemented a manual methods module. Students had to do common data analyses completely by hand in their first quarter. Competence before delegation.
It is exactly like getting your pilot's license. They make you fly a manual prop plane through a storm to feel how it stalls before they ever let you touch the autopilot button.
I love that aviation analogy. And they use that same rigor for verifying the AI's work, too. I get really excited about this part. They use parallel competence checks, basically treating AI code with the exact same suspicion as an unproven hypothesis.
You have to explain the multi-tier citation verification, because this blew my mind. We know LLMs hallucinate, but why citations?
Well, an LLM is a probabilistic engine. It's just predicting the next word. Autocomplete on steroids. So it doesn't look up a database. It invents text that looks exactly like a citation.
Real journal, plausible author, but completely fake.
Which is terrifying.
So the protocol requires a 5-tier check. First, verify against the user's local Zotero library. That's ground truth. If it's not there, check the Crossref API for a DOI. Then Semantic Scholar, then OpenAlex.
And web search is only the absolute last resort, right?
Right, and it requires a human to manually click the link. Unverified citations get flagged in red and stripped out. They do the same for code. You can't just trust the Python script. You have to execute it in an isolated sandbox and compare it to hand-calculated examples.
And researchers are forced to periodically do tasks manually just to keep their skills sharp.
Yeah.
Like a workout routine to stop your verification muscles from atrophy.
So pulling back to look at the massive long-term horizon, what does this mean for the global knowledge ecosystem?
Going back to aviation safety didn't come from telling pilots to just fly carefully. It came from rigorous protocols and collective governance. Look at the CSSS Verification Consortium established in 2025.
Right, they validated over 200 techniques across different programming languages, so everyone doesn't have to verify the same AI math individually.
It's a shared safe list. But there's a profound warning here about homogenization. If AI makes English language quantitative research cheap and fast, diverse intellectual traditions might just get priced out of existence.
The path of least resistance. If you can churn out a perfectly formatted AI paper in 3 days, who gets funding for 3 years of nuanced archival research? It's a huge risk.
We have to actively protect methodological diversity.
So the main takeaway for you listening right now is that productive augmentation is highly fragile. You have to map your workflow, guard your human-only zones, and do the gritty manual work to maintain your judgment.
The wolf is already inside the house, organizing your folders. The goal now is governance, not avoidance.
I do want to leave you with one final mind-bending detail from the paper's rapid response section. We've talked about delegating tasks, but there's a 2025 study by Shao and colleagues about AI agents simulating entire research communities.
It was a staggering concept to try and wrap your head around.
Seriously. Think about it. If one AI agent can formulate the question, do the lit review, run the analysis, and write the paper, and then other AI agents, acting as specialist personas, simulate the peer review process, critique it, and publish it to a synthetic database. Are we rapidly approaching a future where human beings are completely locked out of the knowledge creation loop entirely? If the private chef can cook the meal, eat the meal, and write the restaurant review, what exactly are we doing in the kitchen?
A truly chilling question to end on.
Something for you to ponder the next time you casually ask an AI to summarize a PDF. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.